What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Good People Should Meet Good People. I'm your host, Scooter Taylor, and we're very excited to be here. You know, this is an extension of connection. West Peak is a community that I'm building where we try to bring entrepreneurs, creatives, and professionals together to learn, partner, and connect. And I've always asked the question, what happens when you meet the right person at the right time under the right context? I think that's happened a lot in my life where I'm like, man, how did I meet this person right now at this time? And it's been perfect and beneficial for both of us. And I think that's what I really want to do with this podcast is bring on super dope people and dope guests for you guys to learn and partner with, hopefully. So is none other. The first guest is Carlos Barksdale, my guy. He's a great friend that I've met out here in New York. We have a lot of similarities that we're going to dive into. We went to church together about 3 hours ago, which is nice. Yeah. So we really bond. We have a lot of great conversations. Yeah. So I'm excited for you all to meet him, learn more about his journey, learn more about his brand, Glory by Us, which is a healthy hair care brand for men and great products. And I'm excited to really dive into that and just show you how he's building a brand with real intention. And so I got my notes here. I don't know if I'll need all of them, but Carlos, what's up, man? Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month, man. What's up, Scooter, man?
Let's start there. How does it feel so far?
First of all, let me say thank you so much for having me as the first guest on this podcast, man. It's such an honor, just like knowing the work that you put into like the things that you create. And we've talked about what you got coming up in your vision, bro. So for me to be the first person, is wow. I'm truly honored, brother. Thank you.
Look, man. I appreciate you saying yes. I think that's
come on,
that's key. You're always nervous with these things, but I'm really excited that we were able to do this. And I think we'll look back, years from now, and be like, man, like look at the growth and look at where we were. At that time.
Yeah, like real documentation, man, for sure.
So we're calling this Good People Should Meet Good People. It's definitely all about you right now in a second, but I want to talk about how we met. I know it's kind of a funny story that you like telling. So
yeah, man. Good people meet good people. Like Scooter, man, this guy's famous. So what's funny is that me and Scooter are from the same hometown. We're both from Memphis, Tennessee, right? Born and raised. And Scooter went to Morehouse for undergrad. I went to Columbia here in New York for undergrad. And after I graduated, a lot of Morehouse guys moved to the city. And then obviously being from Memphis, a lot of guys go to Morehouse. So I ended up having like a lot of like Morehouse homies. Yeah. Also a lot of Spelman Knights who are like friends of mine. So, a lot of cross-pollination. And after I graduated, I was meeting all these people. New York City was a crazy place to be like after you graduate, first of all. Just like meeting people.
I can only.
Oh my gosh, in and out, flying. Shout out to Apartment 5, man. Like when I graduated from college, first of all, I was legit meeting like on average like 50 new people a week.
Wild.
Easy.
Wild, yeah.
Easy. Anyway, that's another story. But anyway, this guy named Scooter keeps coming up. Oh, Carlos, you from Memphis? Oh, you must know Scooter. I'm like, man, sound familiar, but I don't know. Like. And I'm hearing this for like years, like Scooter. I'm like, and no one ever showed me a picture of you now that I think about it. No one ever put out your Instagram, your Facebook. I'm just hearing your name.
And there's a couple guys like shout out Russell and a couple of these folks. They were like, yo, Carlos, right? From Memphis. And I'm like, Carlos. I'm like, I don't think I've like met the Carlos.
Yeah. And we just hadn't met. And so, And so I guess like what happened was we're at my boy Devin Brooks' rooftop. Shout out to Devin. He's also from Memphis.
Correct.
So Devin throws an annual like Juneteenth like rooftop, get together before the layout.
Correct.
In Fort Greene Park. And my other homie named Devin, who's also from Memphis, is there. And so, I mean, it's just like a get together. It's all the friends together. It's like nothing's like good time, like no unusual vibes.
Mind you, I had just moved to New York. So I'm like, this is like one of the first functions I'm about to pop out to. I got the fit ready.
Right.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Right. So the other Devin has on this dope, bright, multicolored Mifflin shirt. Shout out to Mifflin, man. It's the one with the stripes. I've been seeing it on IG ads. He got it on. He looked good. Shout out to Devin. And, so we having a good time. All of a sudden, I look to my left, and somebody walks in with the same exact shirt on, similar height, similar haircut.
Yeah, everything.
And like, I just start busting out laughing. I'm like, I'm like pointing both of them, pointing at him. And like, we all tripping, we all laughing. I'm probably laughing the loudest.
Definitely.
And somebody like, yo, Scooter, like you tripping. And I'm like, oh, this Scooter? I'm like, yo, you Scooter? And so after all this time, after all these years of me hearing about this man and who he is and you should know him, this man walks in matching nothing less than another Memphis dude with the same exact shirt on, looking super bright. But I'm laughing so hard because I can tell he thought he was about to kill it with this fit.
Oh, I got the express shipping. I was like, no one is gonna have this shirt. I got the express shipping. I got it quick. I'm ready to rock and roll. Like, pull up to the function wearing the same shirt.
The same shirt.
If you went to high school in Memphis, you know anything about Memphis.
Yeah.
Memphis people will roast you like crazy. So Los is like having a ball with it.
Like the pure Memphis came out in that moment. I was like, bro, like both of y'all ugly as hell. Like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, bro, if you grew up in Memphis, like you just can't have something like that happen. Like both of y'all getting roasted. Y'all really got to go change for real. Because as long as you at the event, it's over for you. Everybody go point to y'all, your twin here, like, y'all twins ain't it, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, which that happened a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was our first interaction. And like literally from there, I was like, yo, what's up? I'm Carlos. Like, I've heard of you before. Like, but it's funny, I was thinking that you actually followed like Glory's page early on too.
Exactly. I definitely want to get into that. I definitely saw Glory before I met you, which was awesome.
And I think at first I saw your page then, but even when you walked in, I didn't like know who you were. You know, you see people, the page didn't have a lot of followers at that point. But yeah, so I saw you pop up, but you know, I still didn't know you yet.
Yeah, no, yeah. And it's beautiful and very full circle how it all kind of came together and comes together. So
yeah,
I want to dive into your upbringing. Right, we touched on Memphis and how special of a place it is. I want you to talk about Memphis, but through the lens of a couple of quotes and things I want to bring up. So I'm gonna say some things, and you just kind of tell me what that means to you and how that shaped you. So there's a quote here. It's not what you got, but it's how you keep what you got. Where does that come from?
Yeah, man, that came from my grandma, Mrs. Riley, Ardeen Riley. The now late Ardeen Riley, who passed this past June. You know, and we miss you, Grandma. We miss you so much, like for real. We miss you so much. But yeah, that was my grandma's like ethos, one of her core principles for the family growing up. My grandparents, they came from Victoria, Mississippi. Okay. They were actually both sharecroppers growing up, especially my sister, my grandma. Like they had a rough. Like she was one of 16 kids. Wow. And she used to tell stories growing up about how they used to like make their underwear, and they used to walk to school, and the white kids like would throw rocks at them off the bus, and like legit, you know, like my grandma like legit picked cotton. Wow. You know, and then you know I guess she moved to Memphis, you know, in her early 20s when she and my granddad, you know, finally got together and stuff like that, and raised a family. And so like even with her family, she had 5 kids. My granddad worked. She worked a job like here and there, but like my grandma, she didn't work. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So my granddad was a breadwinner, and you know, just growing up, like we went and shopped at thrift stores and garage sales, and we had hand-me-downs. Like I got my uncle's clothes, like my aunties got each other's clothes, right? And you know, like cousins passed things off as we grew. So we weren't a family that went and got like new stuff very often, especially when it came to clothes. Gotcha. Maybe shoes, you know what I'm saying? But that was about the only thing for real. So my grandma was like, you know, it ain't about what you got, it's how you keep what you got. You know, like my auntie Shay, she got best dressed in her high school over at East wearing all secondhand clothes. Wow. You know, granted, she used to go buy clothes for the cheap at the thrift store and then, you know, cut off the Tommy Hilfiger, you know, logo and sew them onto the other jeans that wasn't Tommy Hilfiger, but rock them. But that's what it was. Like, that's what we was used to. You know, like growing up, I really like didn't like know what it was to walk in to, you know, like a high-end store, you know, or just maybe a Macy's, but like nothing crazy. Right. And drop like the money we drop now for clothes. For sure. You know, I mean, even now, I think for me, even getting more than one pair of shoes in a year, the fact that I can do that is still like so crazy to me. Kind of mind-boggling, yeah. Yeah, like I can buy two shoes at the same time right now because I can. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just blessed, you know. No, like
for
that.
Sure.
So yeah, man, I think it also just reinforced like take care of like what you have, you know, like just don't take it for granted the things that you get. Yeah. Even the material things. Yeah. Take care of it, take pride in it. When you walk outside, be presentable. You know, that's kind of all wrapped up in it's like it's not about what you got, it's how you keep what you got. It's like really treasure what you have, man. Really value it, because it's not guaranteed. Yeah, there's a lot of value in that quote, and I think it leads to maybe the next person I want you to touch on, Mr. Gooden. Man.
Mr. Gooden.
Wow, you pulling them out. Okay. You've been through the IG. Okay.
Mr. Gooden.
Man, Mr. Gooden is my barber, my late barber as well. Mr. Gooden is my late barber. He passed in 2015.
Okay.
Mr. Gooden was my barber since I was like a little kid, like maybe around like 2 years old.
Wow.
Up until I was like 22 or 23. I think I was 23 when he passed. And man, Mr. Gooden, he's the one person I saw Mr. Gooden more than I saw most of my family members. Because I went to the barbershop every day. My mom every week, excuse me.
Okay.
My mom took me to the barbershop every week, every Friday.
Every week's got a cycle, not every 2 weeks.
Right, every week.
Okay.
So I would see him, you know what I'm saying, just naturally more than I would see some of my family members. Because like, you know, my aunts and my uncles, my granddad, he worked. So,
yeah,
you know, he came home at night. You know, I didn't see him too often. Man, and Mr. Gooden, like, he gave me the best haircuts I ever got in my life. You know, like,
okay.
You got to understand, I was with this man from the time I was like pretty much an infant. So I was an adult. Now, through college, you know, I go back home to Memphis. He'd be there. Carlos, come on, get in the chair, man. I'm about to put you in the house.
Yeah.
He'd always say, I'm about to put you in the house. Carlos, you know, you come from a good family, man. Your uncle, he did good. I'm proud of you. You know, it was one of those situations.
Talking and cutting,
taking forever. Oh my gosh, taking forever, talking mess, man. And, you know, kind of as I got older, contribute to the conversation myself, you know what I'm saying, and talking to him and learning more about him. And just being a part of the barbershop ecosystem. Like that was like my real, like legit barbershop experience growing up. Like he was it. He was like another parent to me almost, and just how much he influenced me. So yeah, man, like Mr. Gooden, like I miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Gooden. And the last Memphis kind of thing I want you to talk on and touch on, White Station High School. Talk about White Station. Talk about, you know, who you were in high school and how that kind of maybe impacts what you're doing now.
Man, who I was in high school, White Station. First of all, shout out to White Station, man. Class of 2010, the best class to do it. Shout out to all of our athletes and the folks who came out that class. Y'all already know who you are.
Legendary.
Man, legendary high school, legendary class. What can I say about White Station? White Station High School was like such a great experience. I really feel like I probably couldn't have had like a better high school experience, especially in Memphis. We had a great school, great academics, great sports.
Yeah.
And I think for me, White Station was just like, it just felt like I was on the top of the high school, you know what I'm saying, ecosystem in Memphis.
Yeah.
We had the best students, and like, I really just like refined myself as a student there. I truly like settled into who I was as a person at White Station, if that makes sense. I think Memphis as in general forced you to do that. But really, it ain't even just about White Station. It's about really going to high school in Memphis.
Right. Okay.
If you go to high school in Memphis, we really pretty much all have the same kind of like experience.
Sure.
To an extent.
Maybe a little different. I mean, I went to a private school in Memphis, right? So like, it's a different vibe, right? Like, I mean, everyone was wearing Sperry's, and
yes,
you know,
that's true.
Brooks Brother ties,
that's true,
and your Vines belts. But that was a little different environment over at White Station.
But the thing about Memphis, I feel like Memphis's culture like consumes all, like no matter where you are, where you come from. Like I tell the story of this dude named Yves. He lives for now. Shout out to Yves, his little sensitive self. Yves came to like Snowden. I went to Snowden Middle School. And Yves came straight from Africa. I forget where Yves is from. He came straight to Memphis from Africa.
Okay, that's tough.
Yves did not speak a lick of English, bro. He coming into Memphis city schools.
Yep.
You can't speak English.
Yep. It's tough. Tough environment.
You African.
Tough environment.
Oh, we got some words for you, player. We got some sounds for you.
Checking is crazy.
We got a lot for you, man. We checked Yves so much that by the end of the year, he was talking like me.
Yeah.
Like we was just like drowning him every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's
it's
how
a
like
form of endearment. It really is.
It is a form of endearment, but it's so like all encompassing. It's so like drowning that I remember senior year, I went to my boy Ken Bailey's like to his house.
Yeah.
And his mom were speaking like a little different language. I was like, what is going on? Coming to find out Ken's Jamaican. I go to my boy Jaday's house. His parents on some different stuff. They got like nuts in like plastic bottles around, and his mom got the garb on. I'm like, flip-flops everywhere. I'm like, Jaday is Nigerian.
Yeah, but it sounds very Memphis.
I guess what I'm saying is like in Memphis, like it's just Memphis culture. Like you don't see flags like how you do in New York, like that kind of like international. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but you don't see that kind of like those kind of like niche, not even niche. Like it's just not visible. It's just not really seen. It's like once you're in Memphis, you're in Memphis.
Yeah.
And like now you're a Memphis person. Like you speak like Memphis, you talk like Memphis, you walk like Memphis. So yeah, man, I think like White Station was just that. It was like a super raw form of the city. You know, I grew up. When I got there, it was super packed at White Station.
Yeah.
We had like a bunch of kids like who were being bused up from Orange Mound, which is like where I'm originally from before they kind of like rezone and stuff like that. Yeah, man, I kind of came to my own and like it really gained my confidence and had a lot of respect. As far as who I was at White Station, I don't know. I think I'd be interested to see like what my peers have to say. I think I was well respected and like liked.
Yeah.
And like well known, but I think that like there were kids that were super popular.
Sure.
I don't know if I was super popular. I think I was like well known.
Yeah, and I think even that, but just the culture of Memphis, right? Like you're saying, the culture of going to school every day, like school clothes are on point, right?
Yeah.
Like, haircut every week. Like,
Yeah.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean that's Memphis culture, but that really started in middle school. Maybe even before then, because like in middle school, that's when I started to like take care of myself. In middle school, I started to like groom myself and like brush my own hair, you know, dictate what I wore. Even though we were in school uniform, you know, I'm like more selective about my shoes. I'm wearing J's, and so your hair and your groom is all a part of your aesthetic.
Sure.
And like that's when we was wearing Dickies in middle school, and I had my brush in my back pocket. So now I'm going to school every day with my brush in my back pocket.
And the cell phone pocket and the little
right,
and the little one on the side.
Before we had the cell phone, which is crazy. Yeah. You know, Hooper shorts on under the shorts, you know, and so I feel like everyone kind of has their own like brand in Memphis.
Yeah.
Like what kind of what you're known for. And I wasn't necessarily trying to be known for like being like a good looking guy or like being well groomed. That's just what it was. I went to barbershop every week.
Right.
My mom has taken to the barbershop every week since I was 2 years old.
Right.
Like that's just what it is. And so I want to be on point, man. I want to be fresh every day.
I love it.
Straight up. You know, I want to have the Dickies press. I want to have my shirt ironed out, polo shirt, polo horse on there. Yeah. I wanted my socks to be icy white Nike socks up to like my calf muscles. I wanted my J's to be new and clean. I used to take a toothbrush every day after school, clean my J's off. Like legit. Like I was obsessive about like being clean with my clothes.
Yeah.
Making sure they were ironed, making sure like, again, I had my brush, my J's was clean. And my friends will tell you this. And my haircut was on point every week. Every Friday I'm in the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? With my fade, with my taper, for real. Yeah. Waves on point. Waves going crazy. So yeah, man, that's just what it was.
I mean, hearing you talk about that, right? That attention to detail, like I said, like I grew up in an environment where, you know, my high school, kids were rolling out of bed, right? Like barely pressing their khakis, things of that nature. So that attention to detail at a high school level, I think there are several people that identify with it. And I think you clearly kept it to this day and like in the brands that you're building.
Yeah.
So we obviously talk about the love for Memphis. Ironically, you left Memphis after high school to come to New York.
Yeah.
And I think there's a number of things we could talk about there. You went to Columbia.
Yeah.
Joined a fraternity. Like you obviously did well, but then chose to stay in New York after.
Yeah.
And some of your first roles were in investing and at a venture firm. So
yeah,
I kind of want to touch on that. I know we're skipping over the college experience a little bit, but get into that first role where you're investing and learning about entrepreneurship, seeing successful entrepreneurs. How has that kind of shaped your thoughts and your career trajectory, I guess?
I mean, I think the exposure I got to investing via 645 Ventures, shout out to Aaron and Numdy, great guys. You know, first of all, that was an awesome experience.
Yeah. Being
able to come out of college and have an experience where I, you know, worked an intern for a VC fund, a new one at that. They're on fund one with two black men.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking about Aaron Holiday, who went to Morehouse and then Cornell Tech for grad school, and then Nnamdi Okike, who's both Harvard undergrad and Harvard Business School. Yeah. And then having them like show me the ropes. I learned a lot just about, you know, what being a venture capital investor is, what VC investment is, how to source deal flow and how to look for like awesome startups and awesome founders, more importantly, right?
Yeah.
How like an idea actually looks in a market when someone's trying to build it out and how to evaluate it. And, you know, and really just like that, it's not easy too. Like Aaron and Namdi, I just kind of told you about their profiles. They were raising their first fund. They were trying to raise 10 million and they were having a hard time.
Yeah.
Like they didn't raise the full 10 million. So I think that was almost a reality check within itself of like, okay, like you got two high achieving, resumes, crazy black men, Harvard, Morehouse, Harvard, Cornell.
Yeah.
And they want to like raise this fund like their counterparts and they can't do it. But they got to make do it with what they have. It ain't about what you got.
Right.
It's how you keep what you got.
Correct. Okay.
And Aaron and Namdi kept it well. I just went to their 10-year reunion a few months ago.
Wow.
They're renting out like one Times Square.
Wow.
Across the street from the train station on 34th Street. I mean, I walk in and I haven't worked with them since 2015. To be 10 years later, my mind was blown at how much they'd grown.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, like you can't remember, but you got to understand, we were sitting around a small table inside of a WeWork conference room talking about VR headsets companies and Bitcoin.
In 2015.
And Bitcoin in 2015.
Okay.
And I'm just like a wide-eyed kid, just excited to be there and kind of feeling like a little bit of, out of place or what's it called? When
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, like a little bit. Or really just like not knowing what's going on. I'm just being optimistic. But yeah, I think how that has impacted me was just understanding what VC is for allows me to understand like if I need it or not, or when do I truly need it, or how is it truly impactful. I think I see a lot of entrepreneurs talk about getting VC investments, saying, hey, I need this. And I'm like, okay, tell me about your business. Okay, I'll run this kind of a business. And it's like, okay, do you like need like VC investment? And do you understand what it is?
What are some of those businesses? Like what businesses probably don't lend themselves to VC funding?
I mean, I think like service-based businesses, obviously.
Yeah.
Like if you have a service-based business, it's probably like not VC backable. I think probably honestly a lot of like smaller beauty brands, unless you really have a plan to like scale, and really like hit the ground running from day one, then you don't need VC dollars. You could probably just need to double down on your own investment or get like a bank loan, especially if you're.
And we're saying this because VC investments, you're looking for $1 billion return. You're looking for a huge outcome. You
got to understand, like VCs are investing in like ideally like tech companies that can scale, 10x in a year, 100x in a couple of years. And for a CPG brand, we're dealing with physical product.
Yep.
That's just hard to do. It's just so capital intensive. It's labor intensive. It's space intensive. Those are all kind of like counterproductive to like the VC expectation for growth of scale, or for scale of growth. So when you think about like VC investment, also too, understand that VCs, their job is to make money.
Yeah.
So they're taking a portion of your business to make as much money as possible. Unfortunately, for our type businesses like beauty and CPG, they're probably going to take a larger percentage, as opposed to a tech company that they see can scale from having 1,000 users right now to 100,000 in 4 months.
Right.
Can I go from having 1,000 customers right now to 100,000 in 4 months as a physical goods brand? Maybe, but think about how much, like, again, time, space, and money that's going to take.
Yeah.
So it really like allowed for me to kind of like demystify, but also de-glamorize venture capital. It's not this glamorous. I don't need it. You don't need the headline.
Yeah.
You need to make money.
Okay.
You need to have a viable product.
There you go.
You need to have a great business model.
Yeah.
You need to be able to scale, right? And I was able to focus on those things, I think, in a good way. And I wasn't worried about VC. And two, I'll say this as well. Like when you build a great business, VCs will come. Like when you build something that's filling a gap, VCs will come. Like when I launched my first company, VCs called me.
Okay.
Because there weren't Black, I guess, marketplaces like that. So
yeah, that's a great transition. And I think, you're hitting on something great, right? Building a great business with, amazing fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like probably teaching a kid how to do karate or play basketball, right? You got to have the fundamentals down before you get into the fancy crossovers and trying to hit the gritty. Yeah. Like Ja Morant, right?
Yeah, shout out to Ja.
So before we get to glory, I do want to talk about your first company, Luya.
Yeah.
And you started this, from what I researched, because you were trying to grow your hair out. and there was a moment of kind of like looking at products and
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure this out. So maybe talk about, just starting Luya, and then I think we'll get into how Glory came about.
Yeah, man, memory. So to your point, I was growing my hair out for the first time, really.
Which is different from going to the barbershop every week.
I was doing the barbershop every week.
Okay.
I was just getting a lineup.
Okay.
You know
All
what I'm
right.
saying? And like the taper, but I was still in the barbershop. Don't play it. But yeah, so I think when I grew my hair out, man, this is like just after college. There was so much I didn't know about my hair and how to take care of it. And then by extension, my body and like skincare. And so I was like asking so many questions, and like, especially like my homegirls, like, what should I use? Like, what are the brands? I was experimenting. I was going to different beauty supply stores. I was buying products. I was in TJ Maxx in the beauty aisle. Like, I was just like buying stuff. And I was feeling good about what I was buying and what I was learning, I think.
Yeah.
But one day I was in my room and I looked at my bottles, at the ingredients, at the labels, and I just couldn't pronounce anything. And I was like, what is this? Like, what am I putting in my hair, like on my skin? And I did some research, a quick little Googles, and I found like a ton of studies that link like black marketed products.
Sure.
To skin irritation, to hair loss, to even illness, to cancer even.
Okay.
Right? These kind of independent studies. And because they had toxic ingredients in our skin, hair, and body products. And so when I went to find like black-owned brands, that was kind of my decision. I'm like, I need to buy black-owned brands that produce high-quality, healthy products. When I went to go search for them, they were all over the place, or I couldn't find them. Where's my hair brand at? Where's my skin brand at? Where's my face brand at? And it was just tough. And I found that a lot of other black folks are having the same issue. And so I decided to build a solution. Okay. And that became, Luya. So Luya was a one-stop shop or a marketplace for healthy black-owned brands for the skin, hair, and body for both men and women.
And I feel like people are still trying to solve this problem, right? Like, what year is this when you're doing this? This is
2015.
Yeah, so I feel like there's still, a need for marketplaces and black-owned products, and you see them pop up every couple of years. And so what were some of what were you learning in that space? Were you connecting with the actual entrepreneur?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was just like I was just doing it. And I think that's how my life goes. I was just going to different markets, pop-up shops, like different, kind of organized pop-up shops. I remember I met Creole Essence. Creole Essence, they were actually on Shark Tank a few years back.
Okay.
I got to them way before Shark Tank. They were actually one of the first, brands to sign on to my marketplace.
Oh.
And man, I was just doing it just off of like pure confidence. Like my first 5 or 6 brand commits came off of pure conversations. Like I'm talking like no deck, no presentation, no website, no Instagram page. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Wow. And people are like, okay, cool. They're like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll hop on with you. And so I think even that, now that I think about it, just kind of shows that there was like a need for it to exist. And, I'm someone who really cares about health, especially Black folks' health and how we take care of ourselves.
And you just did a raw vegan diet for the month of January?
I just did the raw vegan diet.
So you're not capping about the health thing?
Yeah, no, I'm not capping, man. I'm not playing, But I think beauty and grooming is one space where we haven't looked as a community, maybe even as a country, as a culture, when it comes to like health and wellness, because what you put on your body goes in your body. Like the studies had already shown me that I was looking at, right? Like our hair products were affecting our scalp health and hair loss and illness. Yeah, so I was just super passionate about it, and I wanted to be like an inspiration for Black folks making like a conscious effort to consume healthier products. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So then, as we get to the end of Luya, or maybe through Luya, there is this idea that you have for waivers and 360 waivers. And again, from our research, before we got to the Glory, I think the brand was called Swimmin'. It was going to be
wow.
So talk to me, talk to me about Luya, and maybe as you're thinking of Swimmin', and clearly we're here to talk about Glory today, not Luya. I think there may be people who are watching this that, have an idea, which may lead to another idea, but you have to give up good to get to great. Like maybe talk about that a little bit.
Give up good to get to great. Shout out to this trade that just happened.
Yeah.
So we're talking about again.
Sorry, Luya. So the Luya and the kind of the end and like founding of Glory.
Yeah, I mean, Luya, I kind of eased off of. I think what happened was in the midst of like doing Luya, obviously I'm online a lot and I'm looking for content of like Black folks just doing beauty and grooming stuff, washing their hair, putting on lotion, and also just like kind of doing like brand discovery. I'm always like looking for new brands. So I was on Instagram a lot, Facebook a little bit too, but mostly Instagram. I'm discovering all kind of like influencers, brands, all the good stuff. And in the midst of it, I found a video of like a guy like brushing his hair and he got waves. And I see another video of a guy like taking off his do-rag, another video of a guy like, at the barber shop getting a cut. And I find all this like wave content. I'll go down like a rabbit hole, bro, of like wave content for like hours. Oh. I'll go from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube. Oh yeah. And I'm finding like Black male hair influencers in the waves. They got influencers, they got terminology, they got meetups, they got, Facebook groups with hundreds or if not thousands of people. Sure. There's a whole almost behind the scenes, almost Black market of Black male content, meetups, like sharing going on. Yeah. That I had no idea about with a hairstyle that I've had almost my entire life.
Every week.
And so I'm like, what? I just couldn't believe it. And so that stood out to me. And so I'm watching the videos over time and I'm watching the influencers, right? Like the biggest influencers. And I'm seeing trends of like, I'm seeing a few things. Like all the different guys are using different stuff. They're using different products, I should say. Oh, I use like this from the beauty supply store. I'm using this, my girl made me this. Oh, I'm using this I made at the crib. So there's like no product continuity for the waivers.
Got it.
Next thing I see is that the brands they are using are primarily unhealthy to the point where like they're admitting it in their videos. Hey y'all, man, like welcome to my video. I'm about to do a brush session. I'm gonna use this pomade. It ain't good for your hair, but it worked. All right, let's go.
Wow.
This video got 100,000 views. There's a video with 360 Jeezy, who's probably the biggest wave influencer. He starts a video by telling you, like, yo, this pomade is not good for your hair. It's trash, but it works. I'm like, yo, if the biggest influencer in the game is using a subpar product, then there's an issue here. There's a gap in the market. And so obviously I went and looked for brands that were catering to waivers. I found some, but to me, there was always like a missing element of the brand.
Gotcha.
Like the branding was off, or the packaging was kind of like not top notch, or the shipping experience wasn't high quality, or the website was kind of like, not tier 1, not premium. And from that, I just think this idea of like building like a brand that catered to waivers, because you understand waivers are such a unique demographic of a hair community, because you got guys who spend an hour a day brushing their hair. Wow. To even get waves, it's either it's a mystery or you don't want to do it. You don't want to maintain it because you got to brush your hair. You got to shampoo consistently. You got to do rag every night. Man, I got tired of it. I gave the waves up 2 years ago. Yeah. How often have you heard that?
I hear that all the time.
So it's like I found this community of consumers who care a lot about their aesthetic, and they will spend money, but they're being underserved, like drastically, in my opinion. They're settling for just kind of what they have access to, but no one's speaking to them, like no one's talking to them. I'm like, yo, there's something here. And that's when Glory started to form.
Okay. So now we're getting to Glory. So again, just like a great way of saying like, hey, there's something here. There's a neat gap in the market. I'm going to try to fill it.
Yeah.
And so then you put a lot of energy into Glory. And again, February 22nd will make 2 years in the business?
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know the date. Yeah. Someone asked me yesterday. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, February 22nd. Okay. So February 22nd, it'll be 2 years in the business.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the origins. I want to touch on the products and the branding, but again, let's start at the beginning. How was it starting? Like, where do you even start? I look today, you've got packaging, you've got pomade jars, you've got brushes.
Yeah.
How does one even start from the ground up on doing that?
Man, just like the brand. I mean, let me just say right now. So I started the marketplace because I didn't want to start a brand.
Okay.
Because I knew it was going to be hard. When I looked at the brands, I'm like, man, they got bottles, they got packaging, they got ingredients, they got to label this stuff, they got to send it out. That seems like a lot of work.
Exactly.
I want Black folks to be healthy in their beauty and grooming, but I don't want to make it. Okay. I want to just give it to them. So the marketplace was awesome. But it's funny, the marketplace is what brought me glory, just like everything. So obviously the idea came from it, right? Being online, but also the product development. So I got really tight with one of my vendors or one of my partners on Luya's website who was making men's grooming products. And like I brought the idea to him, and he actually worked with me to make the products themselves.
Yeah.
So the first product was the pomade paste, the shampoo bar, and then later on the conditioner. We made those together. So that was actually probably the easiest part. I think when you talk to most like beauty and grooming like founders, they're gonna tell you like that was the most expensive part, that was the hardest part. I had the opposite experience.
Okay.
That was probably the easiest part for me. And so that was a blessing. That just was what it was. What took the most effort was this right here.
Okay.
The branding, the aesthetic, the name.
Gotcha. Yeah, we go from swimming to glory. How do we get to glory? And Luya has an interesting background too. So Luya, glory.
Yeah.
Talk to us here.
So I think with swimming, I was just trying to like find a name that, was gonna like relate to my target demo and what I was doing. But when I was telling people about the idea, they were always like, "What swim? What is it? Like, how do you spell it?" And they were getting confused. I was like, "Dang!" Like, and I spelled it SWMN.
Okay.
So it's just like it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't quite
Too creative.
hitting how I wanted it to, right?
Creative.
But Luya was a great name because like it was easy to remember. It was 4 letters. By the way, Luya comes from the word hallelujah. That's where we got the name.
Okay.
And I was like, I need something like that. And I need something that is going to be like represent like what I want this brand to ultimately be. Like I want this brand to represent and focus on Black men and make us the center of focus. And that to me, that's like revolutionary in beauty and grooming because like that hasn't happened. Okay. We've been ignored. We've been at the back of the bus. Now we're gonna be the center of focus. Like beauty and grooming, Black men at the center. I thought that was revolutionary. And I'm building a revolutionary brand. And so I wanted a brand that reflected, kind of like my ethos and how I thought about the brand in the future of being like luminescent, of like being a winner, being a champion, being like your best self. Again, you a waver, you brushing your hair for an hour a day.
Gotcha.
You training your hair. You putting in time, you invest in money. You're almost like an athlete.
Yeah.
And then waves is like your trophy. Like you showing up your trophy every day with your waves.
Take the do-rag off, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You brush your hair for an hour a day.
Yeah.
You go to a barber shop, every week. You buying these do-rags or brushes. You got 3 different brushes. You got 4 different do-rags. You got a barber and a backup barber.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You brush for an hour a day. You're an athlete. And so I wanted a name that was going to reflect all those principles, kind of all those ideas of just being bright and being a winner and like feeling good and like achieving. And the name Glory, I already had in my mind because I'd used it before.
Okay.
Me and NC from this space called Alley NYC, we built a professional Black community back in like 2015, actually.
Okay.
Of like diverse Black professionals across all industries.
Okay.
We were doing this. And it was great. We were having events and we called it The Glory. And we kind of winded that down after a while, but I was like, yo, that name, it's gonna stick with me. I don't know if he brought it up or if I brought the name up, but we had it. And I also used it like in my frat because I named one of my neos The Glory. Shout out to Kareem. Shout out to Khalil. My chapter would give me. Shout out to Khalil. But I'm like, I'm gonna use that name again. And when I was just sitting down thinking about it, what this brand is gonna be, what it's gonna represent, I was like with somebody and I was like, you know what? Glory.
Wow.
I'm like, that's what it is. Like that's what it has to be. It stands out. It's simple, 2 syllables. It's easy to remember. And it also sounds like something, but you don't know what it is.
Like it makes you more curious.
Right.
And I think when you go down the Instagram, you see the amount of attention and intention that you just kind of described with picking the name. And, the photo shoots and the product shots. Yeah. Right. So sticking on branding before we get to the products, like, how'd you pull that off, right? Because I think when I look at it, and again, I found Glory before I found you, right?
True,
and it was something that I wanted to follow, I wanted to be a part of. It looks very professional. It looks like you spent tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars, brought a firm in to really do designing. Is that the case? Like talk to us about some of those early photo shoots and what you did to kind of pull that off so well.
So I think for me in my life, I've always been able to like replicate like what I see. like very well. Like I grew up drawing, and I was very good at like making art as a kid and throughout high school. I took AP art in high school, because I can just look at something and just recreate it, whether it's like an image or an event or the way I dress. I can just do it. And when I was like building Glory, again, the brand and the branding was a huge gap I saw in men's grooming too. I didn't mention that before, but when I looked at those smaller brands, it wasn't just the packaging. There was also a branding gap.
Gotcha.
Like Black women have had a huge evolution of hair brands over the past like 15 years.
Gotcha.
Post Shea Moisture. You got to think Miel. You got to think what's Tracy Ellis Ross's brand?
Oh yeah, that one that's out now. I mean, topicals even.
Topicals even Rihanna when it comes to like beauty, like they've had some really awesome brands come out that reflect them in so many different ways. For Black men, we just haven't had that. And so I'm like, okay, what are the brands that I like just as a consumer and as a Black man already? And I looked at those, I studied those brands, which were primarily clothing brands.
Okay. I
studied very few like beauty brands in Developing Glory.
Gotcha.
Glossier was actually probably the only one I studied. I love Glossier. I used to be on Glossier's Instagram every day, the website every day. I mean, obviously Glossier does not market to me whatsoever,
right?
But they were just so good at like their brand and their brand imagery and like just honing in on it. I'm like, this is how you build a brand, and Glory has to be a version of this. But my other brands was like Nike and Supreme, Ralph Lauren a little bit maybe. OVO was in there. AOD was in there, right? So I'm taking these and like all those logos, and to your point, working with a firm, my homegirl Fatima, who I went to college with, she had like a little design agency. I'm like, yo, Fatima Special, like I need to like create like my design, my logo. Can you help me? And so I worked with her and her firm to bring together like, these logos and color schemes. And it's funny because this logo and this color scheme was in the first kind of a batch of like proposals. And really when I saw it, I knew it was it, but you overanalyze, like keep going. We went like four more layers deep, and I was like, you know what? Step one, we had it.
We had it, yeah.
And the green stood out. The Glory logo, I think like the way it's just styled, it's kind of sporty but modern. It's like simple and classic, but also, I can put this on a box. I can put this on a beauty product. I can put it on a car. I can put it on a shirt, on a hoodie. I can put it on a TV if I wanted to, and I love that about it, right? Glory, you don't know what it is. Glory by us, you don't know what it is when you hear it. You're curious, and the logo is kind of the same, and so that was proud of it. So Fatima, thank you so much. You did a great job. Gave me a great deal.
I love it in your story how open you are about the power of community and your friends helping you out. And again, I think when we see these product shots, the models, right, like all. This is all just homies doing stuff for me. And I think again, there might be someone watching right now who has an idea, who wants to jump off the porch and go do this thing. Yeah. And they think they need all types of investment, or they need to be all kinds of crazy infrastructure. Yeah. You talk about some of those first photo shoots and the pictures you still use to this day that are well.
Shout out to my apartment. Shout out to my homies. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Devin. Devin comes up again. This is all just me asking favors from my friend. I mean, Fatima, I pay her for this. Don't get me wrong. Photographers and videographers, I'll pay them to pull up. But all my homies who model for me, who were up at 6 a.m. for a photo shoot and stayed to 2 o'clock, didn't pay them anything, couldn't really like buy.
Probably because the brand didn't have any cash.
No, we didn't have anything, and the money that we did have, I'm paying for things I have to have. Gotcha. I gotta have like this photographer. I gotta like buy these boxes. I gotta buy the bottles. I gotta buy the ingredients. And so it's just folks around me, believing in what I'm doing and supporting me, even to this day. So it's funny, I was having a discussion last night with this photographer at the Brooklyn Museum. He was like, yeah, we can do a retainer and we can bring you in for like, I was like, listen, bro, like what you don't know was like that photo was shot in my bedroom. I was standing like 5 feet away, like just yelling at the photographer for like 30 minutes. We just did this. And for me, even though Glory is still a small brand compared to what it's gonna be, and even though we had 10 followers when I launched, I never want to compromise on the aesthetic and the vibe of the brand. Yeah. Like for me, like when I have a vision, like for something I'm doing, like once God give it to me, that's how I gotta go.
Wow.
So if I gotta sacrifice my time, my money, like my sleep, my energy to like bring this vision to life the way God showed me how to do it, then like that's just what it is. And so I really didn't care how much I had to sacrifice. Glory had to look like it was a tier 1 brand from day one. That was important to me.
Gotcha. And it's important to the customer.
So yeah, like right now we got 20 followers, but I want you to see that like even when they had 20, they were just as cool, just as dope, just as intentional. Now that they're at 2 million.
Yeah.
I think that matters, you know? And again, it ain't about what you got, it's how you keep what you got.
Correct.
Just because we're a small brand, just because, you know, we don't have a lot of followers, just because we don't have a lot of customers, just because we haven't sold a single item, doesn't mean that I can't come and be like tier 1, that I can't be premium, that I can't, you know, compete and be like, you know, with the likes of a Shea Moisture or of a Bevel or of these other brands that we've seen. Like, why not? Like, why I gotta wait? Like, why can't I have the best packaging in the game?
Correct.
The best product? Why can't I do like the best events? Yeah. Why can't my models like be like the most handsome? Why can't I have like the best logo? And that's how I feel. Like legit, I feel like, you know, glorious like Kanye and, you know.
Yeah, it's like, I want to be the best. I'm striving for that.
I said, man, it's called events. I push miracle whips. You're not listening. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Walks is playing in the background right now. You playing me.
And you're not signing me.
I'm being humble. Yeah. You know, and I am being humble. But like that's how I feel. It's like, like I'm doing it, and it's just like I got to just keep doing it. But I have so much faith in it because, you know, talking about Hallelujah to Glory, I had to like let Hallelujah go because, man, my vision for Glory was so clear. It was just so strong that like I just felt like God was just had on my mind constantly, and I couldn't ignore it. And and I'm doing it. And it's part of the process.
Actively doing it. Very proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Let's touch on the products really quickly. I know, again, healthy ingredients is very important.
Yeah.
You've got an array of products, more products coming out.
Yeah.
Definitely by the time this episode drops, you'll likely have announced or about to announce them.
Yeah.
But talk to us what's available today. And why start with those products? And then where do you want to go with Glory? Is it still for waivers?
Yeah.
How are you thinking about that?
So today we have 3 main hair products. We have our pomade paste, kind of our signature pomade paste, which is different from traditional pomades. I'll talk about that in a bit. We have our shampoo bars.
Okay.
And we have our washout hydrating conditioner.
Gotcha.
Kind of going through them. I think they were all important to me, but I think the leading factor in that was the pomade paste because I went like 4 years without using pomade in my hair, which is a big deal as a waiver. When you got waves, you need pomade. But the thing is, I grew up like using like Murray's and 360 Style and stuff like that, but primarily Murray's. And again, like the ingredients, they were just like terrible. And I was like reading online about guys like losing their hair, and my hair was feeling weird and it was changing and it just wasn't working for me no more, bro. Like, and I was trying to shop around for different pomades. I was going to different markets and stuff, but nothing was like really doing the job. And when I created the Glory pomade paste, like with my guy from the previous, you know, company who was on Louis Marketplace, I was like, oh, this is it. It was like soft and bouncy, but also easy to rub up onto your hands, and also spread well, but also had great hold. So it's light, but it holds your hair very well. Yeah. Easy to wash out. That's the opposite of Murray's. It's hard to rub in. You gotta use all your muscles. It's hard to wash out. It leaves flakes. Mine don't leave flakes. It's hydrating. It has all clean, natural ingredients. And I'm like, man, to me, like that product alone is like a game changer for waivers, because it's like your hair look good, first of all. But
now it smells good.
But you're feeding your hair and your scalp what it needs.
Gotcha.
And so I fell in love with it. I was using it for years before anyone ever saw it, was able to buy it, because I was like developing a brand. And so that was a leading product. The shampoo bar was also, to me, like innovative because we got short hair. The liquid shampoo was great, but we waste so much of it because it slips out of our hands or off our hair because we don't have a lot of hair. So it's like we're kind of wasting money and wasting product. And the shampoo bar is great because you can take it, rub it against your wet hair, your wet scalp. It foams up easily, and you off to the races. So like you're saving money, you're saving product. You're not wasting. You're being efficient. You're not wasting product.
Yeah. Nice.
So I love that about it. And then the conditioner it's like, for me, it's all about scalp health when it comes to the conditioner. It's all about scalp health when it comes to the conditioner because it's infused with peppermint. It's hydrating. You feel it tingling on your scalp. So there's blood flow through your scalp, which of course helps to improve hair growth, which is again a huge tenet for me. And so it's just a great trifecta for anyone who like wants to take care of their hair.
Yeah.
Short hair really or long hair, but it was catered to waivers because again, I was watching the videos and they were using toxic stuff. There wasn't, to me, a great pomade that I was seeing consistently. So I wanted Glory to be like that go-to consistent brand that guys and waivers could depend on.
Nice.
And that's what I developed initially.
Nice. And then the plan is to go beyond waivers to more hair care products for all different types of hair, or talk to me about that.
Yeah. Sorry, taking a sip of water, but
You're good.
So obviously I have waves. I had waves, but I was growing my hair out before. I think what happened, man, is actually my little brother. He's in Memphis. You know, he's grown up. He's like 16 years younger than me, and I was going back home. And I dropped him off at his high school. And I'm also kind of around his buddies a little bit, you know, taking him to games. And I just noticed that like none of his friends have short hair.
Styles changed.
Styles changed like drastically.
For sure.
You know, growing up in Memphis, most of us had like short hair. You had guys who had braids every now and then, but a lot of us had waves.
Yeah.
Now, like most of his homies have like froze.
Correct.
So I'm like, man, like he really like can't use this pomade like I would like for him to. The conditioner shampoo, like sure. And it's just me just paying attention to the market.
Nice.
And like what black men are doing and what they're asking for. So it was like my little brother, but also the pandemic. A lot of black men, a lot of men, period, we couldn't get to the barbershop. So a lot of us were forced to grow out and deal with and embrace our hair and our curls and our coils. A lot of us for the first time or the first time in a long time. And what I noticed that a lot of black men like didn't go back.
Gotcha.
Just because the office opened back up.
Right.
So there's really like an evolution that's been happening, I think, in beauty and grooming for black men, where it's like we are embracing our natural hair and the hair growth like unlike we have in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but again, there hasn't been a product and a brand that's talked to us in our evolving needs. And so my new product is going to be a leave-in moisturizer, a leave-in cucumber moisturizer. I'm really excited about it. And it's for that market. It's for black men. It's for underserved men who, again, haven't been seen, haven't been catered to, who really aren't thought about when it comes to beauty and grooming. And it's a hydrating solution, but, you know, kind of going back to like that story, again, it's like my little brother, the young demographic, you know, they have a lot more freedom when it comes to like their hair and what they do with it. For me, I'm going to be real. I didn't really have the option to grow my hair out when I was younger.
Right.
I'm almost like, you going to a barbershop every week, keep it low. But I mean, that's also was like...
Keep it neat, keep it cut. Like,
yeah, it was also like a safety thing in a way too, right? Like, let's be real. Like, we from Memphis.
Yeah.
My grandma from Mississippi. Like, black dudes couldn't be too outside the norm. Yep. Or it was a risk, really, right?
If you probably couldn't wear your hair out like that. I mean, even at like the private schools or at the schools, right?
Right.
It was like, hey, keep it together.
Like, we've seen it, you know, different stories like around the country, like especially when it comes to black women, like their hair, like in different spaces. And so I just couldn't do it. But like now, those same restraints like really aren't on my brother's generation the way they were on us. And again, even in our generation, we're also embracing our hair. And so I want Glory to be a home for black men's hair. And so I got to talk to and speak to all black men.
Sure.
And I think with me bringing this new product to market, I'm really increasing the total addressable market for the brand.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. And I'm excited for you to launch those products and get them into the hands of people, man.
Yeah, me too.
Which is great. Carlos, we can go a number of different directions here. And I know that time is kind of running out on us a little bit. So we got to bring you back for another episode. That's what that means.
Wow. Nice. What an honor already.
But I think where I want to go, again, the person that's probably listening to this, right, and they're hearing your passion, you know, I don't know they would, and we don't have to get into the specifics of it, but I don't know if they would guess that you actually still have a full-time job as well and an entrepreneur.
True.
That you're interacting with customers, trying to build this, you know, and doing that. So I guess just again, you know, and we want to break the myth that entrepreneurship means you have to just only go all in, right?
Yeah.
It's not true. And so can you talk about balancing, the balancing act of that in the last few minutes that we have here together?
Yeah, I mean, it is a balancing act, straight up. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, I think for me, you know, you make time for what you want. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'll start there. I want glory and I want my full-time job, you know. I mean, I think I just kind of, I make time for it. Luckily, I think my role now at Google, you know, I do VC partnerships. It kind of complements my role or what I do it with Glory, because I'm around entrepreneurs, I'm around investors all the time and all day. So just seeing entrepreneurship at work and people building is so encouraging for me. You know, it also fuels the company because it pays for the things I'm doing, like my ads and my ingredients and the things that I want to do as far as their programming goes. So I kind of decided like a few years ago that like I don't want to be a suffering broke entrepreneur while I'm building my company. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to those who do and who can, but I don't want to miss out on trips with my friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on like going out to dinner, you know, with myself or with homies. I don't want to miss out on like, you know, on like dates and stuff like that. So that was just a decision that I made.
Yeah.
And
to your point, right, that is possible also because you understand the type of growth you're trying to take, right? You're not going to take a VC funding where maybe you now have an investor down your back, right? Who owns 10% of this thing.
Yeah.
Glory, 100% owned by a car.
I'm not beholden to anybody except for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my customers, but like, you know, they're going to come as they come. And, you know, I just have so much confidence in it. And yeah, I mean, like before work, I work on Glory. After work, I work on the weekends. I work on Glory.
Yeah.
You know, you just make time for it. And also too, it's also a part of my life, which is very important. Like grooming is a part of my life. So doing things and creating things is a part of my life. So it doesn't feel like work necessarily. It's my creative outlet. I'm bringing healthy products to like Black people, which is like core to like one of my foundational values. So it's also core to who I am as a person. You know, it's like me going to playing basketball, me doing yoga. Like I do this, you know, so.
I love that. And I think, you know, we live in a political climate and a world, the climate of the world today is forcing a lot of people to maybe even grapple with their core values and really stand on business, right?
Stand on business.
Right? And so the fact that you just said that so proudly is amazing, number one. Number two, how are you as a founder, business owner, and maybe any advice you have as we close out here to anyone who is wrestling with that, right? Building a business, wanting to do something for their people or just, you know, again, for their customer. And then they, you know, turn on the news and there's DEI backlash, there's tariffs, you know, on China, right? How do I now go get the bottles and the jars? You know, how does that impact you and how are you thinking about, you know, how you're going to run Glory given just the political climate, but stick to your values?
I mean, look, it's always going to be some. It's always going to be some reason, something going on or some reason like not to do it. Yeah. Right? You can always find a reason to like not do something. Whether it's the politics or, you know, you're not feeling good right now or something happened in the family or it ain't even got to be like nothing bad. It can be like, I'm having so much fun in life. You know, I don't want to stop going to brunch every weekend. And I don't know. But, you know, for me, it's like, I have such strong conviction what I'm doing, such strong belief. And it makes me so happy that the world's going to be the world. Things are going to happen. You know, I don't worry about things that I can't control. And again, like God gave me a vision. It's just my duty to just like keep working at that vision and bring it to fruition. So I guess my advice is like, don't worry about what you can't control, first of all. You know, be confident. And also just like keep taking the next step. Like when something comes to your path, like either walk around it, jump over it, but you keep pressing forward. You know, it's like my grandma used to say, like, keep living. Like that's also her main phrase, like keep living. Yeah. Something always going on. You always gonna learn something new. Something unexpected is gonna happen. You know, you gotta learn the hard way. That's just what it is. You know, as a people, like we're people in this world, in this country. DEI, it is what it is. I mean, you know, unfortunately, it's unfortunate what's happening. Yeah. You know, but I almost think that like there might be another side to it, which could be another podcast where like we really band together for real, as a people and really seek out like Black business like we haven't before. Sure. Yeah. Like I remember when I was in middle school, I did a research presentation on the Negro League baseball. Okay. Satchel Paige, all those guys, Josh Gibson, and how there was so much black economy going on around it, but how when baseball integrated, Negro League went away. Gotcha. You know,
I think you see that in the civil rights movement, right? Where, you know, now we can integrate, we kind of lose the black, you know, businesses that were.
You see that in integration, you know, as a whole. And like, I'm not saying that if you're going to reverse back, I'm not saying at all. But what I am saying is maybe a lights of fire under our community where it's like, okay, like, let's not take this for granted. Like this can reverse real quick out this parking spot, and we can really be in a tough situation. Yeah. So if we're not all interconnected, like let's not even take that risk. Let's make sure that like we know where we're at all times, and have your whistle on you. You know.
That's beautiful. It's very sound advice, number one.
Yeah.
I think that interconnectedness is one of the reasons why we're on this show, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we knew so many of the same people but hadn't met, right? And it's like what happens when, you meet the right person at the right time.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful to have met you a couple years ago.
Yeah. How much time do you got left?
I think we're almost out. I don't know. What's Wolf?
We have one of products. I'll get this box here.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
Got to show the products a little bit.
Please.
So where are we going to start? I had this stuff previously wrapped up. So, I mean, y'all see the box, again, the tension. Like from day one, I had this box ready to go. This is our pomade paste. This is what I was talking about, the kind of signature product, that I'm so proud of.
So ingredients are water, aloe vera, shea butter.
Hold on, Scooter. Hold on, I'll get my whole. No,
Okay.
you can now playing. Give the ingredients, but now you can read them.
Of healthy ingredients, right?
Sure, read them off.
Avocado oil, beeswax, right? Vitamin E, fragrance. Yeah, I mean it's the grapeseed oil, right? Things that I can tangibly know.
Yes, and even the fragrance, it's like essential oil, so it's not like a chemical fragrance.
Got you. Hydrating conditioner here. Now. Truth be told, as a true friend, I've jumped in and helped Carlos on a number of fronts. I've been able to sell Glory to customers, which has felt really cool.
Yeah.
Even got a chance to go down to the storage unit the other week. Oh. I got to see kind of how the sausage is made in a sense. This is my favorite brush, number one. I think the branding, it says like brush your hair on this thing.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Talk to me about that, man. Like, I mean, again, like running a CPG brand, you have physical products, you have things, you need space, right? You need someone to be able to put the paste in the jars, right?
Yeah.
Again, for someone that's maybe sitting there who wants to get to this part here, right? And you're nowhere near at the top where you want to be, right? You're still growing, but how do you, what's the advice for someone there to do that?
To just like start it?
Start it, or again, think through the variables of jars and.
I mean, I think for me, I just like reverse engineer my ideas. I think for me, like it was important to have a strong brand and like the bottle be dope. So it's like maybe start there, and what does that look like? What are some brands that they're doing already who like you love?
Gotcha.
And take inspiration. And I mean, I don't know. I just think about it like super tactical. Like I gotta get some green bottles and and silver tops.
And so you're Googling green bottles and silver tops.
Like legit. And I'm looking everywhere and I'm taking record of everything. Etsy, I'm on Alibaba, I'm on eBay, I'm on Amazon. I'm looking everywhere. Like who got the best prices? Mm-hmm. All right. Like what does it take to put my logo on a bottle? How much does that cost?
Gotcha.
So now I'm emailing 20, 30 different factories like abroad and US. I'm comparing prices. All right, cool. I want to make this brush. Not just a regular brush. I want to paint it green. I want to say brush here. I want it to be designed. Gotcha. Right? What does that take? How much does a brush cost? Like, what's the MOQ? How many do I have to how much money do I have to save up to go and buy 200 brushes so I can sell them at a profit margin? Creating a box. I mean, honestly, y'all, all this right here that you see, let me make sure y'all see my logo. I spent too much money on these logos for y'all not to see them. All this that y'all see right here is just like me just doing it. It ain't like I had some kind of like CPG expert advising me along the way. It ain't like Columbia came through. As this is just me like just being on the internet, writing stuff down, making phone calls, sending emails on Canva, right? On PowerPoint, and just doing it. Like not making excuses, or just doing it.
Wow. Very powerful. Again, I think, sometimes people see the entire mountain and they don't want to take the first step, or they don't know how they're going to get up.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think what you're showing is like, hey, the path will reveal itself, right?
Yeah.
Once you Google green jars with silver tops, you'll start to then see the pricing, and then you'll start to see the next step to get there.
Also, there's so much power in talking about it. Tell people. Remember when I told you I was telling people about swimming, and they were like, oh, what? Like, people were getting confused. So that was giving me feedback already, but it was also keeping me accountable. That's also a huge thing for me. Like when I want to do something, I really want to do it. I'll tell people like, Carlos, what you doing? I'm building this hair care brand. Now every time I see them, they're gonna ask me about it.
Sure.
So now I got to build the brand.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's really important too.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love it. It's an amazing array of products, man. Like I said, an amazing brand. I use the
Thank you.
products. It's great. And much success on everything. Like I
Thank
think, you know, it's going to be really great to see where it goes and how it all plays out for you, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, again, this whole thing's about the interconnectedness. The idea, what's the idea when good people should meet good people, right? And hopefully someone who's watching this, someone who's listening to this is like, damn, I just met Carlos today and I'm ready to go jump in and take my brand to the next level or hit that first Google search, right? And start the brand. And this is really special. So thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on, Scooter. It's been my pleasure, brother.
Hey, man, let's do it.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.